Guys, so Prince Mashele is back again with a hammer blow against the MK party in this video. He actually argues, and this is actually almost making sense to me now, where he argues that the MK seems to be like a safe haven for what he calls scoundrels, people who have crimes, people who have issues with the government and all that. And it appears that the MK party seems to be like a refuge that still provides them with finances and money, salary, so to speak. But at the end of the day, it's almost like a refuge, a gathering all of these people who have issues with the government. And at the moment Jacob Zuma is gone, that whole entity, what he calls, the MK party, would explode. Let's listen to how he breaks down the prospect and the future of the MK party, and I'll be back for a quick analysis.
To have this new or a new party that will unite black people. Isn't MK that party?
No, definitely not.
Because Ubaba does say his plan right now is to unite all black people.
He's dreaming. You see, let's talk in detail about MK. Number one, there is no MK without Zuma. I've said this before. And Zuma is old. He's going to die very soon. It's nature. You get old, you die. You don't get old and become younger. It doesn't work that way. Even I, as I get older, I will die. So Zuma will exit the political scene very soon. The longest he can be around, maybe 10 years, even that, maybe that's generous. So without Zuma, there's no MK. The fellows who are going to remain there are going to fight like, man, the fight is going to be like very, very bitter. So forget about MK. But there are other dynamics that are involved, by the way, I play within MK. And people are not talking about it. Let me tell you. The MK in the main is not about uniting black people. It's about two things. One is about providing refuge to black scoundrels. People who have either stolen money, people who have committed all manner of skullduggery, people who have lost integrity, people who were at the center of state capture. All of them have flocked in the direction of MK. Those people lost something. One, they've lost state power. They can no longer deploy each other in state-owned enterprises. Two, they have lost legitimacy in public discourse. They know it. Three, they have lost incomes. So the MK solves their problem. They have incomes now. But then there's a second foreign dynamic. And you are going to be surprised. The MK is actually the project of the Russians.
Not Iran.
The Russians. And you may say, but where do you get that from? I'll tell you where I get it from. There's a fellow called Louis Liebenberg. He happens to live in Bronkhorstspruit.
He's been in the news over the past couple of weeks,
yeah. He has confirmed it. That one, he used to be a funder of the MK. And he has confirmed it that Putin took over from him to fund MK. If you think I am talking lies, I'll send you a clip. I've seen him saying it. He thought was speaking in a private, closed, behind-the-scenes room. But the clip has circulated. It has landed on my phone. The guy confirming that Putin funds MK. What does Putin want? Putin is not Father Christmas. He's not going to take Russian money and pump it into a South African project just for generosity. No. It doesn't work that way. There is something that he wants. You see, South Africa historically has been viewed as an asset for foreign powers. For the longest time, it was under the control of the West. So our gold, there was a gold standard in the world. We used to fuel that. South Africa, at some point, was the largest gold producer. But our gold was not stored in South Africa. It was actually in vaults in London. And there was an arrangement between the Americans and the British in terms of keeping the gold in London. So South Africa was an asset for the West for the longest time. When the Soviet Union supported the ANC during the liberation struggle, they had hoped that once the ANC takes over, they would actually snatch South Africa from the Westerners. By the way, if you think this is far-fetched, go and read the book by Marcus Wolf. I've just finished reading it. A book that came out in 1997. This chap was the spy chief in East Germany. He actually reveals many things in terms of what the Soviet Union were planning and everything else. The title of the book is A Man Without a Face. You will learn a lot. So Putin hasn't given up the hope that South Africa could be snatched. So South Africa now, it's actually being, the forces that are fighting for South Africa in the main are three outside South Africa. The Chinese, they want South Africa badly because we have strategic minerals here. The West, even though the West is in tatters now, and the West it brings together Western Europe, America, and you can include New Zealand and Australia in that grouping. But that grouping actually is in tatters now. And we can talk about that. But they still, by the way, have huge interest in South Africa. They cannot afford to let this country being snatched by the Russians. And then the third force is Russia, Putin. He wants it badly. So the MK, Putin sees it as an instrument through which he can actually gain control over South Africa. Now, there are fellows who are running around wearing green T-shirts, calling themselves Gwazam Control. They have no clue what they are running around doing. They are forces who are looking at them as idiots who can be used in a strategic game that ultimately involves controlling this beautiful and rich land we call South Africa.
Brilliant, guys. This guy is an analyst to the core. I really enjoy listening to him. One of the things you understand about Kwazemi is Kwazemi here, we're an intelligent channel. We try to break down complex issues affecting, South Africa, but my other channel expand in the wider Africa, so to speak, and try to really break down the, mechanisms, drivers of change that actually influence the way news actually emerges on the continent. And one of the things you'd enjoy from Prince Mashele is that intelligence, the way he analyzes and how he argues that the MK is a project of the Soviet Union. That's a really striking statement. I think I've heard Rob Hersov and many other commentators allude to the fact that the MK party, I think he says that Jacob Zuma was trained in the I think if not the KGB, but anyway under the Soviet intelligence, and the MK party still has really deep connections with the Soviets or the Soviet style leadership under the leadership of Putin. And Prince Mashele argues that those people who call themselves members of the MK do not really understand that it's almost like a sort of like a machine or an instrument controlled by outsiders, and that's really unfortunate in my opinion, because I really don't know when Africa and African parties and Africa could actually be able to escape these throes of control by finances and all that, especially with the fact that we have all the resources we have as a continent, but yet we have to become puppets that are controlled by providers of finances. I remember the last video where Rob Hersov actually spoke to the fact that the ANC has a lot of influence from Iran and all of that. And so the question is, when will these parties stand on their own? But in terms of MK has a really interesting future in South Africa. MK is actually, if you listen to his analysis, he actually says that MK is actually battling now to take the remains of what remains for the ANC, because the ANC is being buried by President Ramaphosa, and the MK is actually position itself to take those assets. But also the DA is also trying to fight also to take the assets. When the ANC collapses totally, this will be the clash between the MK and the DA. And whether EFF comes in that mix is really not yet clear. But anyway, this is actually how Prince Mashele sees the demise of the ANC going forward. And I think this is really interesting. But also another thought I think that was really interesting in what he speaks about is the fact that he argues that Jacob Zuma is a dreamer, and that without Jacob Zuma there's no MK. So in other words, if he says he's really generous and he gives Jacob Zuma 10 years, because at the end of the day we are all going to pass away, okay, and that Jacob Zuma is close to that journey, and that when when he passes away, there will be a massive fight among the leadership. And so if the leadership of the MK party is not well established before his demise, that, you know, that would actually see another breakdown of the MK party, especially if it would have gotten a large percentage of the black vote, so to speak. But at the end of the day, the saddest part of this argument he analyzes here is the fact of, you know, the black majority. The fact that the black majority has been disappointed by the ANC. The black majority still doesn't think that it wants to hold on to the EFF. And now in terms of the MK party, if Jacob Zuma departs, what would then be of the black, you know, the black majority? Would they really be pushing towards a patriotic alliance in the like of Dayton McKenzie, who is colored, or would they shift their allegiance to the white, you know, in terms of the white DA-led party, so to speak? So at the end of the day, this is actually where the majority of the votes that had actually propped the ANC and now shifting towards the MK party would then be left. So how would the DA or the PA work together with the black majority to sort of like establish a new kind of like majority and then transcend the politics of South Africa going forward? This is a question that will really be important for the future of South Africa, the next presidency, you know, both in 2029, in the next elections anyway, and all of that. But it was really interesting for me to listen to Prince Mashele. I don't know about you. What do you think? Share your thoughts. What do you think about all that he's spoken about here, about the MK? Share your thoughts in the comments.